How many cats have you successfully had adoptions for?
As of yesterday, we are at 528.
Welcome to the Exploring Washington State podcast. Here's your host, Scott Cowan.
Today, my guests are Justyn and Tori, and they are the owners and founders of the Spokane Kitty Cantina, obviously in Spokane. And my question to start this whole thing off is, my perception of coffee shops and restaurants are they just gush money. They're super easy. No, they're really difficult and challenging. And then you decided to add cats. You're herding cats for a business, and I think it's awesome. But how did you decide to couple the two together, and how did you get started? And welcome.
Well, thank you. Thanks, Scott. That's a question that we can go super far back on, and I'll just give you the bullet points. We both were kind of in food service throughout our college life, and admittedly, I wasn't really excited to get a big boy job per se. I went to school to be a teacher and decided I probably wouldn't excel in that area for a lot of different reasons, and just kind of wanted to, do my own thing, start my own business. But at that time, Tori was still in nursing school. So we kind of just floated through life until one day we're in Portland and stumbled upon a cat cafe there. And it was our first time having exposure to that model. And of course, we had 1,000 questions. And those same questions are what we get on a daily basis. And I totally understand it. But the main thing is, what the heck? Are you being nice to these cats? Like, what is this? And they just explained, these are shelter cats. We just give them a place to live. And, our eyes just lit up. We're like, holy cow, this might be what we want to do in the future. I wanted to open up a pizza joint and a bar. She wanted to do coffee. And so this is kind of the middle ground, minus the pizza, of course. But
and the beer. Oh, well, yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. But, it's a common medium where we can share our, I don't want to call it a hobby. It's a lifestyle. We have a 6-year-old daughter, and she's just banana bonkers for cats. And I mean that in the most literal way. You should see her stuffed animals. So, it was just one of those, it landed in our lap. We're like, this is a family thing we can do. I don't really want to drag my daughter to my job at the X or Y, but dragging my daughter to work at the cat cafe is something I don't really feel as bad about, and
okay.
Not to
All
say
right.
she's in servitude quite yet. She's only 6, but that was the start that planted the seed where, we had something to look forward to. And from there, it was just a matter of doing research and visiting other cafes, doing consultations, creating partnerships, and, just opening the floodgates. And so we did dive right in, but it took years to dive in. It was definitely no easy task getting started for a multitude of reasons.
Well, no business. I mean, well, I don't want to say no, but businesses in general don't happen easily for most of us. Most of us, fall on our faces a few times. I didn't know I needed to have 12 permits. Yeah. I didn't know that I had to do this or that. And hopefully those mistakes are not devastating, both permanently or financially, So I applaud you for your dedication and tenacity to get this thing going. Let's talk about the cats. So who did you partner with for? Is it the Humane Society there in Spokane, or how are you?
We are partnered with Spokane, and we get a lot of questions about how that works. There's a lot of politics, but the main reason a partnership needs to be static is there's no way, shape, or form to have cats from different groups come in together safely. So there just needs to be a level of consistency with the shots, the health checkups, and stuff like that. That doesn't mean the shelters can't help each other, but we can only receive the cats from one designated shelter.
And that makes perfect sense because, shelter A may have slightly different protocol than shelter B. And how do you, okay. All right. Currently, if I were to walk into the Cantina today, how many cats are in Cantina today?
Do you want it?
5?
Yeah, there's only 5, and that's actually a very, very low amount. And 5 cats is 5 cats, but for us, that's a pretty low amount, which just means adoptions are going really good.
So what's a kind of a normal amount then? What's kind of the your typical day, or
I'd say like 10 to 12 is probably normal. We've had upwards of more or less.
For sure. Yeah. And there's really no normal. We're never able to anticipate exactly what will come, what won't come. Sometimes we go a week with no adoptions. Sometimes we go a week with 20 adoptions, and it's like, oh, okay, that happened.
So this is going to, everybody that listens to the episodes hears me say the same thing. Warning, this will bounce around a lot. How many cats have you successfully had adoptions for?
As of yesterday, we are at 528.
What?
Our goal,
500.
Our goal was 100, but that was just not knowing what to expect. So we set 100 for 1 year, and we'll actually hit our 1 year here in about 6 days on the 8th. That's our 1 year for the cafe inside being open. The drive-through opened 2 weeks prior to that. We're cruising.
You over a cat a day.
Yeah, I did the math. It's like something. It's silly.
That's crazy.
It's pretty bonkers. Yeah, I mean, they're
awesome.
In and out. So we're happy with that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing that you guys have helped place 500 animals into caring homes. That's awesome. Now the next question is, how many cups of coffee have you sold? No, just kidding. Hopefully more than 500. So the shelter, you partnered with one, and the cats come to you, and they've got this great place to live and play. And visitors. So what's the protocol? Like if I showed up and I wanted to go into the cat room and possibly, get to know somebody and maybe adopt, but let's just, curiosity type thing. So because they don't just run around the cafe. I mean, they're in their own area.
Correct.
How does somebody get to interact? I mean, what's the process there?
Well, it's a moving target, Scott. We've changed the dynamics of the room so many times, and it's probably more frustrating for our staff than it is for our guests. Once upon a time, we had visions of a space where people could mosey on in, grab their drinks, and if they were in the mood to go pop in with the cats, awesome. Let's make that happen. Right now, just getting out of the restrictions, shutdowns, the mask mandates, all that stuff, that was super difficult to do safely and, to stay in compliance. Right. If you were to walk in today and I'm at the bar and you say, hi, I want to go see the cats, I'm going to give you this same spiel and say, hey, Scott, unfortunately, we don't have openings right now. Or I'll say, there's an opening tonight, but it has to be reserved. You have to go through the website at this time. There's a legal waiver that the health department had to set up. And when you sign up, you're acknowledging that waiver. And then, of course, you're going to read the rules and the kiddo rules and how to do it safely for you and for the cats.
Okay.
Maybe down the road, there might be opportunity for walk-ins, but it's just until we get clear of all the COVID nonsense, it's just not really feasible.
So there's an opening tonight, and I want to make my appointment. How long am I making an appointment for? And what am I allowed? Let's say I jump through that hoop. I go to your website, fill out the form. Now what?
You want to take it?
Yeah. So the appointment's for 50 minutes, and you get to hang out with the kitties for 50 minutes. We're doing where kids younger than 3 aren't allowed at the moment. So 3 and older, two kiddos to two parents.
Well, technically, we have it at maximum 2 kids per adult. So,
yeah.
Of course, we have a child. We love kids, and we want them to grow and understand the relationship between humans and animals and respect and all that. However, it is incredibly difficult at times to make sure, if we have several kiddos in there, to make sure that they're all able to respect the cats. And it's not that the kids are bad; they're just curious and excited. But these aren't cats at grandma's house. These are cats straight from the shelter. They're not all going to be nice. They're not all going to be happy to play. And so it's, we have to make sure the cats are comfortable and safe in there.
Well, I absolutely agree. I mean, I think you have to have an abundance of caution here. You want this to be successful both for the cats and for the people. So you're not going to just, let the kids, not the kids are bad, don't mean anything, but, you're not going to let them go in and be unsupervised. And I wouldn't if it were my place. And so during the 50 minutes can interact with the cats. Let's just say, since, like I said, when we started, we've got 3 orange ones here. We seem to be drawn to orange cats. There's an orange cat there. I think this cat's cool. I'm thinking that this might be a great potential addition to our household. For my wife that's listening, this is just theoretical. No more cats. Don't worry. What would be the next step? So, I come out of the cat room and I'm like, hey, this one's awesome. What do I do to give them a home?
So let's rewind back. You're still in the cat room right now. We call it the kitty lounge. So you're in the kitty lounge. You're on your reservation. You are in with your family or your friends or whoever you decided to show up with. Maybe you went by yourself. And while you're in the kitty lounge, there's always going to be a staff member staffed. That's one of the dilemmas with doing walk-ins. We have to make sure the room is staffed. We can't have, we can't have guests in there and not have a cat care.
So so there's somebody from, so there's person X is in there with me. Okay.
Yep. Okay. And that person might not be necessarily hanging out with you. They might be in the back doing cleaning. There's a ton of that to do, of course, but they're also there to answer all your questions and introduce you to who's who. Of course, make sure you're following the rules, but you're in there either to just hang out with the cats or you're in there to meet a family member. And that cat caretaker is going to tell you, oh, that's Tigger. Tigger's 2 years old. Tigger has dietary needs, or he's really grumpy, or he's super nice. He's a lap cat, whatever. And then you can make your educated decision based on that info and based on the interaction with Tigger if you think he'd be a good fit for you. And if that is the case, you're going to tell the cat caretaker, and he or she will say, awesome. All right, Scott, here's a little sheet of paper. And that sheet of paper kind of has the rundown of the next steps. It's going to prompt you to send an email, yada, yada. So we do enforce a sleep on it waiting period. And during that time, no one else can claim dibs on your kitty. It's not really considered a hold. It's just a final safety net to make sure you're not doing an impulsive adoption just in case you want it. You're starstruck, you take kitty home, and then you bring it back the next day. That's what we do not want. So it's a little frustrating for some at times, and I totally get that. But at the same time, since we've started doing that, there's just been no returns. So that's the goal. So we want to make sure cats are going and staying,
Yeah, no, I totally think that's awesome. I love this idea, actually. I think it's, I don't love the cleanup idea, but anyway. Earlier you mentioned your daughter. Does she come to work? Is she
not officially? Some labor laws, No, yeah.
I can imagine. Does she enjoy going into the lounge and hanging out? Is this fun for her?
She has a bit of a mindset where I think she thinks she's a celebrity in there. She does get to go in when it's not open. I'm going in there to clean, take pictures, do all the assessments, and she'll be hanging out, and I'll give her a job like, hey, will you make sure you give lots of love to this one or that one? So she does feel like she has a job, and then it ends up with her just, snuggling or playing. But yeah, if you asked her what she wanted to be when she grew up, she'd say, I want to be a treasure hunter and I want to work at the cafe. So that's exciting for us.
That's very cool. This is maybe a dangerous question to ask, but has she ever bonded really, I want to bring this one home Mom, can we have this one at home? Mom, can we please, Mom, can we bring Fluffy home? And how would you handle that? Because
honestly,
I'm pointing to Tori right now, and she's smiling because she knows she's the guilty one of that.
No, yeah, Minka, our daughter, does great. She doesn't do that because we also foster at home, so we're surrounded by cats all the time. I would say I'm the one that's guilty of any of the special needs ones. I'm like, we need to take this home. But yeah, I mean, we just live surrounded by lots of cats, so she does really well. How many
cats do you have at home?
We have 3 of our kitties, and then
how many? 6 fosters.
6 fosters, yeah, at the moment.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are into this.
Yeah. That was another reason why we wanted to do this. So
wow. Yeah, see, if it were me, I had thought, okay, so the Wenatchee Humane Society here has this. Whoever does their social media should work for a for-profit company, because they have an amazing social media profile that makes you want to bring all the animals home. In fact, I had to unfollow them, block them on Facebook so that I wasn't running down there. The divorce attorney would have cost me way more than all the animals.
Oh man!
But I love what you guys are doing. I don't think I could work there, because I think it'd probably be once a week I'd be like, oh, well, this one needs to come home. And then, then I'm the crazy cat guy. I'd have, I'd have 12 of them sitting not sitting, but, running around my house. And it just wouldn't work. So I think it's great that your daughter is able to do this, and you guys have all these at home. And I just think it's awesome. I just know my limitations. Or maybe
that's important.
And I'm setting up good barriers so that I don't trip and fall. So you've done this for just about a year at the time that we're recording this, and you've done over 500 adoptions. What's next? Is there a next? I mean,
I'm looking at my cat on our counter licking the honeydew.
Oh my gosh.
And I can't go over there and leave you right now, so I'll just let her do that.
It's no one will that one. No one's
unbelievable. So what's next? It's been a year. It still feels like how do I put this delicately? We have a shirt that says, it has a picture of a cat in a litter box, and it says, trying to get my stuff together, for a lack of colorful words. And that's the battle cry every day, all day.
Welcome to the business.
For sure. And of course we're ambitious, and of course we want to see how far we can take things, but not until we can really dial in what we have there. Every day we're learning, not just business, but about the cats and the relationship with the shelter and how the dynamics work. And there are, of course, behind the scenes hurdles that anyone has to deal with. And the show's going to go on, and we have big plans, but at the expense of not making promises or this or that. We don't want to divulge too much, but we are ambitious with not just the cat cafe itself, but just animal welfare. And I think with enough support and community support, which it's there, Spokane can kind of step up its game. I mean, we're already doing fantastic, but there's a lot of folks that want to get involved and want to help, and there's a way to do that.
Well, I just think, seriously, 500 placements, 500 plus placements in a year is I don't know what I was expecting. It wasn't 500. Okay. I really,
same here. Yeah, same here.
100, I'd be like, oh, okay, yeah, cool. But no, five times that. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
So let's shift a little bit, but let's talk about the drive-through and all of that. So how's all that going for you? How's the coffee biz?
Sorry. Pop-up just hit. There we go. Okay. Go ahead.
Coffee's doing well. I definitely think we're always wanting to give extra and have that extra little edge. And so just making sure we have time to, there's definitely a lot that we're juggling, but we're excited that it's getting to summertime and less restrictions, and hopefully things will pick up as well. But yeah, it's going good.
I'm on your website, and Kenzie didn't take note of it. And what coffee? What are you guys serving?
We serve Doma coffee.
Okay.
Which is delicious.
Okay. Why'd you pick them? And yeah, let's unpack the coffee just a little bit here.
There's a lot of factors.
There's so many.
And there's a lot of considerations as well. And Doma has, from start to finish, impressed the heck out of me with their willingness to get their hands dirty when we need help. They send reps in to educate, to do classes. They don't just, and not to say other companies do this, but Doma specifically has really just made it transparent how much they care about the success of who they give coffee to. They helped me set up the plumbing. They just did so much extra that they didn't need to do. And they've expressed if anything breaks down or whatever, they'll get a replacement in there. Their bottom line is, you don't stop serving people, but they are very particular about their product, and they can't tell anyone how to make coffee, but they have very, very strong suggestions in their classes. Yeah.
Very cool.
And standards are high, but overall, from start to finish, they give an education course on where the beans come from, fair trade, all that, and it's really impressive. They're good people.
That's awesome. That's very cool. I'm reading your website while I'm looking here too. So I'm just so impressed. I just think this is such a cool.
Thank you.
So what? Okay. Okay. I ask this question every episode, and I always ponder how I'm going to ask it, because I always explain. So you must have, something along the way here must have sounded like a good idea, and it flopped for whatever reason. Is there one you're willing to share? Because I think you probably learned something. I mean, I don't know. Cats and birds didn't go together. Who would have thought? We thought we'd do birds too.
So many things. Yeah.
No amount. Specifically, with the cats, has there been something that, just hasn't worked out?
Yeah,
man.
Well, there's
food in the cat room.
Sure.
That was one thing.
When we first opened, we were allowing drinks and food, and the cats are ravenous and will not let up. They will climb you. Some of them have never had that taste of creamy frosting or whatever.
And we don't want them to.
Yeah. Not only do we not want messes in there, but you just can't even set your food down for a second. It's gone. It's not yours anymore.
Well, especially if you have a cat with, dietary restrictions and they're eating somebody's cupcake. Yeah, it's probably a recipe for disaster. Okay.
Absolutely. So that's one thing. And we're just now getting back into allowing adults only to bring their drinks in and have a designated shelf that's, we hope, unreachable by the cats, but we've found they can get into anything.
Mm-hmm.
We've dressed the place up to have it be a cushy, fluffy, enjoyable, inviting environment, but the cats don't care. They will destroy anything you put in there. They will make it theirs. They will claw it up, and it's ours until it's not. So cute pillows and things that make it very aesthetic. They don't care. So a
nice comfortable upholstered chair has got claw marks on it within minutes. Okay. See, I would have done that. I would have put a nice comfortable fabric sofa in there. As I say it, I realize how naive that sounds coming out of my mouth. I just know how, if I was setting it up, I put in comfortable sofas and chairs and release 10 cats, and they're probably shredded in moments.
Yeah. And it's not even necessarily the scratches. I mean, that's one thing, but it's accidents, And that's why it's not just cleaning when there's staff there It's every morning, every night, sometimes even late at night. If I have too many kittens in there that just don't care at all,
Right.
I got to be there. And it's not just wipe it up. We have to use a certain compound that the shelter gives us. It's a very strict protocol. There's things that can be transferred through accidents, and
wow.
we got to keep them healthy. And, no one wants to see that or smell that or be around it. So it has to look clean. It has to smell, it has to feel clean. And it's important for the cats, but also for guests that go in there.
So when you started your journey, did you realize how much the sanitation would be? Because honestly, I was thinking, okay, we got to constantly keep those litter boxes immaculate. I wasn't thinking about accidents. So yeah, how did that play into the whole business plan?
It didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, we knew there would be, some surprises, but it's an everyday thing. Not to say it's just like literally all over every day, but there's never a morning where I show up and it's spotless. Yeah. There's always something, and whatever, you expect that, and they're the cats.
So the room at night when you guys aren't there, are they allowed to have free run of the room, or do they have so they have free run of the room all the time?
Yep. And that's kind of the model, and it's good and bad. It's good because they're free. They get to, they're not stressed out. They get to do their thing, go where they want. Bad in the sense where if we do have one in there that's really hostile and wants to bully the others, they might seize that opportunity to do that. But in general, Spokane is pretty good about not sending us the really, really grumpy ones. We don't want to turn cats away, but they would have a better chance at placement in a different environment, typically.
In a less social, less, 10 or 12. So I just realized, you close down for the night and you come back the next morning. I'm just thinking what happens in our house while we're sleeping. Wow.
No rules.
Wow. Okay. All right. What's been the biggest surprise over the first year for you guys? Good surprise. I mean, what's been? I mean, you opened a business and then in a pandemic,
yeah,
that nothing could go wrong there,
right?
But you opened this during a pandemic, and you're navigating it. And what's been the biggest pleasant surprise for you?
I think the adoption rate has been insane, and the community support. Yeah.
And not just necessarily financial, like give us your money. It's when we get a very special cat. And when I mean special, I mean there's been some severe trauma or an injury, something that needs just the right person, not just anyone come get this cat. We need, you have to be able to do this, and pay for this. And we can write up this bio, explain the story of the cats. And sure, kittens get a lot of hits, but when I get up a story about a special needs cat, it spreads like wildfire, and it's amazing. People will just, when we don't even ask for it, people will just start sending money. And I'm like, I don't have a donation. Like, I have a Venmo. What? So, for example,
not money for us.
For sure.
Jenny's
right.
Yes,
right.
But they do it. They do it out of the kindness of it's not something we're asking for, and people just start showering with gifts. They say, "Ooh, whoever adopts, they can have a shirt and a gift card." And so people will put gifts and financial support on the books of specific cats to not just to say, "Here's a free cat," but to help out and incentivize adopters who might not know if they can afford it right away, but they're equipped at home to take care of the cat, that type of thing. But just support in general has just been so silly awesome, and we're just so grateful. It's crazy.
So who's writing the copy for the bios for the cats? Is that you?
That'd be Justyn.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that one.
How do you like writing bios all the time?
I enjoy it. It's at the end of the day, we want to make sure we actually tell the story about the cat and not just make references to, Star Wars or Harry Potter, even though that's enjoyable. But, a little bit of humor here and there and pop culture references kind of can click with different age groups. And if it's going to get more eyes on the cat, then heck, I've done my job right, and let's keep doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm on your gift shop right now, and I'm looking at the homegrown premium catnip, and that photo is just hysterical. I mean, how's the shop doing? Are people buying your swag? Are they supporting it that way? I mean, yeah, how's that working?
Merchandise sells in the cafe more frequently than the website. I don't do a very good job of doing paid promotional posts to push people there, but
right.
I mean, out of complete honesty, we don't always have as much stock as we'd like. Sure. It's really tough to get what we need right now. There's a lot of vendors that are not able to source certain colors and sizes, and global shipping is pretty crazy. But
yes, it is.
Also, when you buy a couple thousand shirts, it's going to set you back a little. So we play small ball, and but the merch goes. The merch is awesome, and a chunk of that merch does go into this kind of pot where we pump it towards the cats that need the most help. And it's not always just, okay, we'll pay for their adoption. Sometimes it's in the form of gifts or whatever, but ultimately, when folks are buying shirts and different merchandise, they're also supporting that movement of helping disadvantaged cats.
I think that's just like, once again, I'm nothing but compliments and kudos to you guys.
Thank you.
So when you're not herding cats for a living, because you could put that on your LinkedIn profile and it'd be true, we herd cats for a living.
Really?
What do you do for fun and excitement around Spokane? Tell somebody. Okay, I'm going to share the story. So I'm obviously much older than you guys. And when I was growing up, and I grew up in Tacoma, so we can make all sorts of fun of me for that. But Spokane was this weird, not part of the world. It just didn't exist because I was one of those West Side people, and I was in the shadow of Seattle, and Spokane was just, I don't know, just not part of the world. And we made fun of Spokane. So I had this negative stigma about Spokane up until about 5 years ago. And I was wrong. First off, I'm going to admit I was completely wrong. But 5 years ago, I started going to Spokane. And so now that we live here in Wenatchee, my wife and I love to go see live music. And 9 times out of 10, if I can see live music in Spokane, I'll pick it over Seattle.
Oh, wow.
I really enjoy going to Spokane now. I really think Spokane is just this cool community. And I'm not trying to curry favor with you. I'm just trying to acknowledge publicly yet again I made a comment about Spokane on an early podcast episode, and somebody started complaining about how I was this snob and how dare I speak bad about Spokane. And I wasn't trying to, I guess, but they were really. So if that person's listening, once again, I apologize. I really like Spokane. So you guys spent most of your lives there. Next time I visit Spokane, give me a couple of things I should do that I might not have thought of.
Oh, man.
You're asking the lames here, okay? Yeah, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way. I feel like our life has just, we're married to the cafe right now, but that doesn't mean
the cafe.
Okay.
Before the cafe, what did you guys do? What was fun?
Oh my gosh, our cat is going crazy. Just bonkers.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and this could be a question pre-kiddo. Now that we do have a little one in our family, kind of everything's centered around that. So
sure,
the biggest thing, especially right now with what's deemed safe or not safe or whatever, is trying to provide a lifestyle that's not just this depressing, everyone's inside. And of course, we're really getting away from that. Like everything's slowly trickling back to good and fun. But, I push people for any of the hikes, and it doesn't have to be some big crazy planned out thing, even going to Beacon Hill. There's just a lot of little exploring in history. And, you run into that chimney stack out there, and there's little descriptions, and it just gets you thinking. And there's a lot of history in Spokane, and So that's where I would push people, but more of an outside approach. But if you have a group of individuals that are looking for some nightlife stuff, there's a lot of nightlife. There's, I could just give my experiences and say, if you're into this is what I enjoy. And
okay, with the kid, let's ask you this question: because a lot of our listeners have kids, and a lot of our followers have kids. Where's, in your opinion, a fun place to take a 6-year-old in Spokane? Where's your daughter like to go?
What does she like to do? A lot.
Yeah, she likes video games, of course, but it's because we don't play any at home or anything, and so I mostly selfishly will say, hey, I think I used to go to Wonderland as a kid, and I used to do this and cheat the mini golf to get a free pass, and I'll say, so you're not going to do that because I got in trouble, that type of thing. And trying to show her the stuff that we've done and we enjoy, but also let her kind of be a free thinker and decide what she likes. And so we've really figured out the things she enjoys. She enjoys the outside, she enjoys animals, but if she sees a bee, she's going to freak out, that type of thing. So right. She's a delicate flower, and we love her to death. And just slowly introducing her to a crazy world of current times. And as far as if we were to do a special event with her, anything water related, even Silverwood at the water park and going to the lake, anything like that, she's in. Personally, it's just like the beach, anything like that. I'd push people to go check out, well, once upon a time, Splashdown or Wild Waters. I don't know how they're currently doing. I know that's a bummer, but
Did you go down to the riverfront at all? I mean, Spokane Rivers, that park Riverside Park is really kind of cool.
Yeah, we were just down there, actually.
Yeah, no, it was super fun. I know we're so involved with animals on during work and at home and fostering that I feel like we're kind of the not super outgoing bunch.
At this point in your lives, you've got a full plate of cat herding.
Definitely.
Yeah, and it's not an obligation though. We don't have to.
No, I'm not
totally.
I don't. You guys don't. You don't give that off at all. I mean, you're like,
for sure.
No, this is what we want to do. We're enjoying.
It's
hang out at the shelter. Like
I think just because I don't know if she respects it or admires it or whatever, but the kittens. What kid doesn't like kittens? And we're. In my eyes, I'm always on daddy mode and just like lessons and just trying to be the dad joke, whatever. But just incorporating respect for life and human and animal interaction and how we, coexist on this planet in the future. And I sometimes get way down the rabbit hole and talk to her about financial investments. And she just looks at me like, what are you talking about? And then I dial it back and say, okay, back to the kittens.
How much is my allowance? And you want me to invest what into it? Mutual funds?
Yep.
Oh, that's awesome. That's just, I love it. What else is okay? So I feel like you guys stumbled across this Cantina thing in Portland, okay, and it obviously spoke to you enough that you've opened your own. I mean, that's not just like going, oh, this is cool. Like, I think it's cool. I'm not going to open one here in Wenatchee. You don't have to worry. If you want to bring a Cantina to Wenatchee, you're not going to have competition for me. I'll be a guest. So there's a big difference in you guys' commitment. This really, really spoke and resonated with you. Big long pause. Todd hopefully will edit this out and he'll leave it there to embarrass me. So what else though? I mean, not, I know you're trying to do things in a measured way and all of that, but I guess quite blunt, could you see this scaling to like another location?
We would love that.
There's so many, and I don't want to steal the spotlight from you, Tori. Go ahead.
Well, no,
I have a lot to say.
We would love that. We have learned. I mean, it's a hard thing to do because sometimes we don't have cats. Sometimes we have too many cats. I mean, so opening another location, there would have to be another partnership and a steady supply of cats. I mean, really. So there's so much to it. We do want to.
It just has to work, though.
It has to work. Yeah.
I mean, all day, every day, we get people, interested people, curious about the model and maybe wanting to start their own. We even have staff members that in the future hope to do their own thing, which is great. And you had mentioned, competition in Wenatchee or this or that. And a lot of folks might think that this is something where, like, oh, what are you going to do about them? Or if another one sets up, like Bark, for example, when they first hit the scene, I'm sure they've been working on this for a long time. And I had some folks say, are you worried? Are you worried? And the same answer every time. There's no reason there can't be multiple as long as we're all doing the same thing. If they had set up next door, I'd be a little upset, but they're in a different location. And I actually just recently had a meeting with their adoption coordinator, and she's lovely. And we just collaborated and talked about, what do you do that works? We just helped each other out. So it doesn't mean we're in business together, but we're not enemies either. We both want to save animals. So I would say, realistically speaking, we have had candid conversations with the shelters about expansion or second locations and stuff. And it's not always as easy as you might think. There's a business, we have a building, and it does coffee shop numbers, but we have animal rescue expenses. So though no cats means they're getting adopted, no cats also means, okay, one of our revenue streams is sliced off, and it's not the end of the world, but that's our staffing. Those are the gals that we're promising hours to. So learning what we've learned so far, I wouldn't just jump blindly into another spot. You have to be able to make sure you can provide a product that you're committing to.
Well, it's, if you're juggling and I can't juggle, but if you have 3 balls in the air, that's one thing. If you add a 4th ball, maybe they all come crashing down. And it takes, you can't just necessarily just keep adding. But maybe I'm being naive, but I think, and in the moment there might be a shortage. Like today, you might have 5 cats, and tomorrow you might get a call and say, "Hey, we got 10. Can you take 10?" And you're like, "Okay." And then the next day is another 10. You're like, "I don't know that we can. I don't know that we have the capacity, right?" So that part of the business is never in your control. But I also think that overall, that shelter animals are far too abundant, unfortunately. I mean, unfortunately,
yes.
There's too many of them, and it's great that there are shelters, but it's unfortunate that we need them, in a perfect world.
Definitely.
So I could see where having a second location, and you're like, and if you can't, let's say you have shelter A, this original location, and now you partner with the shelter B, and shelter B's doesn't have anything, so your second location is devoid of kittens or cats. You can't just go grab 3 other and move them over to the other place. So I can see from a logistics standpoint. I just think, though, from doing good and feeling good, it would be cool to open another one.
For sure.
But that doesn't make it a business either. There's a balancing act here.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's a lot of dynamics with. We just have bright ideas all day, every day. And of course, all of them cost a truckload of money to get started. I mean, we even have
just a truck.
Just one truck. Just one truck.
Just one truck. Okay. So you're not dreaming really big then, It's not like,
but it doesn't. Second location doesn't mean Kitty Cantina number 2. Second location could be, clinic. Second location could be foster area. There's a lot of things. Without trying to step on toes, but if the demand was there and the help was needed, and it was a resource to help the cats and the shelters, I mean, that's something that would be so fun. And there's a lot of ideas, but like I said, there's so many moving parts that it's tough to really focus on one right now. And cats come in quantities, and then there's dry spells, which it is what it is. And so that's something we're working on all the time, and making sure we don't book out these kitty visits and then not have cats.
Yeah.
And
what would you do in that case? So let's say I want to show up next Friday, arbitrarily, and I go online and Friday at 4:00 available. Boom, book it. Friday at 2:00, you go, hey, we don't have any cats. Uh-oh, Scott's going to go sit in a room by himself. He's probably not going to enjoy that.
Yep.
How do you guys handle that?
We handle it all the time.
Yeah.
So, and this is a topic that we can't blame our guests for wanting to plan ahead. Of course,
sure.
Who doesn't want to, you have a birthday coming or whatever, you have people from out of town, let's plan a month ahead. And
right.
One of the, I shouldn't call it a disclaimers, but one of the little keynotes when you sign up, we say, we sometimes are short on cats and we will reach out to you. And so when you sign up, you give your phone number and email and stuff. And I've had to do that in the past where I send emails and say, hey, good news for the cats. They all got adopted. Bad news for you is we just don't have anything for you. And it breaks our heart to break your heart, but we can't justify an experience that you're paying for, especially, and have you show up. So it takes a lot of effort on our part and a lot of communication, but it's part of it. And the alternative to that is to not let people reserve, and just go day to day, which would also be, frustrating for some. So we're trying to make everyone happy while having the model be successful for the way we run it. And it's the inconsistencies go hand in hand with the inconsistencies of the amount of cats that the shelter needs help with. So we can't force them to just come up with more or whatever. There's a lot. Yeah.
No, and it's interesting because I hadn't thought this through before this conversation, and now I'm listening. In what I'm taking, my takeaway from this is that you've built this business around a great idea, but it's really almost completely out of your control.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
The kitty part of the cantina is not in your control,
Totally.
and you have to. It would drive me nuts. I'm a worrier. I'd be like, we're down to one cat. What do we do? It would drive me personally nuts. But I think you guys come across as having a very healthy regard of it and how you're handling it. You're like, well, we're going to have to send you sorry, Scott, you booked this out. We just don't have anybody today. Love to have you at another time, and yeah, you're just always going to have that out of control part of your business. And that's,
yeah.
Not good for me.
I agree. I mean, so not having cats usually means they've been adopted. So that is good news, right?
Definitely.
Right.
But I can put all the little disclaimers in the world on the website, and they may or may not be read when you sign up. But I don't think it's healthy business practice on our part to just say, oh, well, we warned them, it does take that extra, like last night, for example, I was sending emails to everyone that has a visit tomorrow and saying, hey, just so you know, here's what we're working with. We'd love to have you if you still want to come, but if by chance you do want to reschedule, I can help you with that. So it takes just so much time, but I would rather not have them show up and be frustrated. And then I say, oh, I told you so. That's not a good way to do things. And I don't know how sustainable it is, especially if I ever step away and give responsibility to a staff member. But, who the heck is going to be in charge of that? So you might call it a flaw. You might call it just too much attention to detail, but that's currently what we're working with.
Well, I think from this is becoming more of a business sounding podcast than a What About Washington podcast. But I think what you're describing to me, though, is also a differentiation between you and maybe somebody else. So I just like what I'm hearing from you. And for the business advice that let's see, you're not paying anything for it, so it's worth exactly what you're paying for, is zero. But I encourage you to just keep going what you're doing, because it shows that you guys are doing this for lots of great reasons, not just as a shtick. And I don't want to say, I don't think for one second I thought it was a shtick. That's not what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
totally.
But I could see somebody opening up thinking, this would be cool. We'll have all these cats, people will come in, blah, 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 blah. And you go and, I think he just got up to, because there's a cat doing something of entertainment value. And I just think that, you guys, that's not your thing. You're doing this out of compassion and care. And you're also trying to make it the best experience you can for your customers. And I applaud you immensely.
Thank you.
What question haven't I asked? Is there something I haven't asked that we want to talk about? What am I missing? Tell us your hours. Let's do all of that stuff. But, I feel like I might have missed something. What did I miss?
Well, you've covered a lot. You've covered I would say the basics, had you been in a few times and experienced it yourself, you might have a fresh batch of questions.
Right.
If, let's say if I were taking a phone call or someone walked in and just, they'd never been in before, and they do have a load of questions, it can be frustrating to receive the same questions over and over. But I always tell this to my staff and say, these folks asking these questions, they're asking because they're interested, they want to know. And so just giving them the bare bones is not really acceptable. And to say, oh, you have to reserve online. Well, that doesn't help them. We encourage those fruitful explanations of, and excited explanations of here's what we do. Here's why we do it. Here's why you can't just go in right now. This is nap time. This is slow time. There's designated reasons. And then, we have had a few folks that are like, you're just trying to get rich off the cats. And you have to expect that, you have to expect that. And I totally respect that approach to go in hot and heavy because they're looking out for the cats. And then it gives us the opportunity to say, hey, here's what we're actually about, and not argue it, just be like, and here's why we do charge. We pay more than a minimum wage in that room. They're in there not just for the 5 hours. There's a load of supplies and medication type of things, cleaner. Like there's just so much. We dump the litter every single day. We're not just in there scooping it. Like it costs a lot. But right. And they might say, not my problem. I'll just go to the shelter. And we say, awesome. The shelters need help too. Like adopt a cat or a dog from anywhere if you want. To adopt from us, awesome. Our model is specifically so you can meet those cats, see how they do kind of in a cage-free, stress-free environment, see if they'd be a good fit for you. Sometimes you see a cute kitten in a cage, you just don't know. But if you're in that room with that kitten and it hops on your lap and starts purring, you might say, holy cow, this is the one.
Right.
And that's, long-term successful adoptions are what we're aiming for here. And so, any platform I have to explain things, I love it. And just like this podcast is fantastic because, it might bring some clarity to some of the questions.
Yeah. Well, where can people find out? You've referenced online a lot. So why don't you, we'll put a link below, but, where can people find out more about you if they're in the Spokane area? Obviously, I'm making this up, but somebody from Seattle may not want to drive to Spokane to do this, but Spokane's a large area. Where can people find out more about you and ultimately come and check you out?
Well, our website is going to have just kind of the skeleton, bare bones info. It doesn't get updated on a daily basis with each cat, what's there, what's not there. Once upon a time, we wanted to put all the bios on the website, but they get adopted so fast that it's just not realistic. I mean, I'm kind of smart, but I'm not that smart. So social media, Facebook, and primarily Instagram. Instagram is, I get more messages there than I do phone calls or anything. And I'm always answering them. I don't ever try to ghost anyone. If I can help them, I will. Like I said, it's an opportunity to bring light to what we do. But, just popping into the cafe. We're open at 8 a.m. every day, weekdays, and Sundays we close at 6. Friday and Saturday we close at 8. And like I said, eventually, gosh, we'd love to get to the point where we can maybe offer some on the spot, or college nights. There's a lot of fun things, but we're just not quite there yet with getting out of the pandemic restrictions.
Sure.
Yeah.
So what's your Instagram handle?
It is Spokane Kitty Cantina. So at Spokane _kitty_cantina.
Okay. And your website address is?
kittycantina.com.
That's a great name, by the way. kittycantina.com. You nailed it. You got a good URL there.
Should we? No. Okay. We had a different name, but we got, it was a little too edgy. We got away from that one.
Got away from that. Okay. So, all right. And once I stop recording, I'm going to ask. So you'll have to tell me in a second. And we'll maybe, no, I'm just kidding. Anyway, yeah, so both of you, thank you for making time to make this happen. I applaud you again. I think what you're doing is great. I'm looking forward to my next visit in Spokane. I'm going to come by and check out the place and see it. I might not make an appointment to see cats, but I'm going to come by and look at everything because I think it's awesome. And
thank you.
Yeah, thank you both for being here.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
All right.
Join us next time for another episode of the Exploring Washington State podcast.